How to Succeed, or Stepping Stones to Fame and Fortune.
Seize your opportunity. Zion's Herald says that Isaac Rich, who gave $1.75 million to found Boston University of the Methodist Episcopal Church, began business thus. At 18, he went from Cape Cod to Boston with $3 or $4 in his possession, and looked about for something to do, rising early, walking far, observing closely, reflecting much. Soon he had an idea. He bought 3 bushels of oysters, hired a wheelbarrow, found a piece of board, bought 6 small plates, 6 iron forks, a 3-cent pepper box, and 1 or 2 other things. He was at the oyster boat buying his oysters at 3 o'clock in the morning, wheeled them in 3 miles, set up his board near a market, and began business. He sold out his oysters as fast as he could get them, at a good profit. In that same market he continued to deal in oysters and fish for 40 years, became king of the business, and ended by founding a college. His success was won by the industry and honesty. "Give me a chance," said Halliburton's stupid, "and I will show you." But most likely he has had his chance already and neglected it. "Well, boys," said Mr. A New York merchant, to his 4 clerks, one winter morning in 1815, "this is good news. Peace has been declared. Now we must be up and doing. We shall have our hands full, but we can do as much as anybody." He was owner and part owner of several ships lying dismantled during the war, 3 miles up the river, which was covered with ice and an inch thick. He knew that it would be a month before the ice yielded for the season, and that thus the merchants in other towns where the harbors were open would have time to be in the foreign markets before him. His decision therefore was instantly taken. "Reuben," he continued, addressing one of his clerks, "go and collect as many laborers as possible to go up in the river. Charles, do you find Mr. the rigger, and Mr. the sailmaker, and tell them I want them immediately. John, engage half a dozen truckmen for today and tomorrow. Stephen, do you hunt up as many gravers and caulkers as you can, and hire them to work for me." And Mr. A himself sallied forth to provide the necessary implements for ice breaking. Before 12 o'clock that day upward of 100 men were 3 miles up the river, clearing the ships and cutting away ice, which they sawed out in large squares, and then thrust under the main mast to open up the channel. The roofing over the ships was torn off, and the clatter of the caulkers' mallets was like to the rattling of a hailstorm. Loads of rigging were passed up on the ice. Riggers went to and fro with belt and knife. Sailmakers busily plied their needles, and the whole presented an unusual scene of stir and activity and well-directed labor. Before night the ships were afloat, and moved some distance down the channel, and by the time they had reached the wharf, namely in some 8 or 10 days, their rigging and spars were aloft, their upper timbers caulked, and everything ready for them to go to sea. Thus Mr. A competed and on equal terms with the merchants of open seaports. Large and quick gains rewarded his enterprise, and his neighbors spoke depreciatingly of his good luck. But as the writer from whom we get the story says, Mr. A was equal to his opportunity, and this was the secret of his good fortune.